Good Wednesday morning. It is time for the Weather Desk. We do this every weekday around 9 o'clock, and we've got a big one today.
Yeah.
I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. I host the Weather Desk every morning around 9 o'clock. I am joined by my co-anchors from 13 News Now Daybreak, Ashley and Eugene.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Weather Desk.
Good to be here.
Man.
You guys have some news to talk. We all do, really, because we've got a big winter storm. I've got the snow tie
Got the
on.
snow tie on.
That means snow, measurable snow in Hampton Roads, the immediate 7 cities area, within 24 hours, and we're going to get it coming today. So we're ready, right?
Well, I hope so. It's coming.
Well, I know you guys have been looking into some of the news stories that are going to be impacting our region, and thank you guys for joining us. I want to start off with a look at our headlines and what we have from the Weather Desk today. A big winter storm to impact Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina. If you watched the Weather Desk yesterday, this was the same top headline. It's the biggest story impacting our region and really a good chunk of the Mid-Atlantic. So we'll get into that. And a really special treat. I am so excited about this. For the first time in my career, I am going to be live with Jim Cantore. You know, we've been in the same spots, covering the same storms, but we haven't had a chance to actually be on the same program together. Jim is going to join us live here coming up in about 10 minutes for a discussion about this storm and what's kind of unique about this. So really excited to have Jim with us from the Weather Channel. And then we've got a closer look. We're going to dive in with our models and talk about snowfall projections, impacts. There's a lot to break down as we talk about this big storm system. And it's been well advertised. We've been talking about it for days with increasing confidence, especially over the last few days. Everything is still on target. You take a look here at the East Coast, and you'll notice the snow extending from northern and central parts of Virginia, back across West Virginia into Kentucky, down across the deep south. A lot of rain there. What we have, basically a couple parts to this system that are going to come together, and this moisture is going to meet some very cold air that is already in place. And once that moisture gets thrown up into the cold air, it's going to crank up our snowmaker, and it's going to be with us through the afternoon and into the evening. All models pointing to that. Now, this is the same system that produced some snow back across the Midwest, parts of Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky. They've been dealing with the snow and digging out from some of that. Heavier rains down across the south, some very heavy rain there. A lot of moisture with this energy that's going to come up off the coast of the Carolinas and really crank up. It's important to note we are seeing some precipitation already showing up across southern parts of North Carolina. That's an early indication of that southern feed of moisture that's going to be coming into play. You take a look at these temperatures, and it is exceptionally cold across much of the central U.S. Look at Dallas, 13 degrees. 16 in Little Rock, 1 in Wichita. You get up into the north central U.S., Bismarck, 27 below. They were incredibly cold yesterday, but that cold air is really come south. So there really is a lot going on from coast to coast, and we're going to focus right now on this winter storm that is going to come impact our area, and that's why we have our weather impact alert for Hampton Roads and northeast North Carolina. You'll notice the entire viewing area under winter storm warning from the eastern shore, the northern neck, the middle peninsula, south side Hampton Roads in North Carolina, except for Dare County. They're under a winter weather advisory. Here's the deal. Today, we deal with the snow. It's going to develop. It's going to be heavy at times later this afternoon and especially into the evening hours. That's when the models really crank up the snow. The impact will be significant snowfall, and you'll need to think about travel impacts. They will be widespread across the area. Even though VDOT is out there working the primary roads, they've got the ice pre-treatment down. They've got all of that to deal with the snow as best they can, crews on standby. It's the secondary roads that are going to leave folks really frustrated, because if you get 6 to 10 inches of snow and those roads aren't treated, they're not going to have plows to clear that stuff off, not on all the neighborhood roads and different things. So it is going to be kind of a heavy impact, and we're quite confident with the heavy snow coming in as the main The main threat that's most significant, that's a big concern. For sleet, it's a moderate concern down across North Carolina. Gusty winds shouldn't be an issue, and we're not really worried about freezing rain. That's not the setup that we're dealing with across our immediate area. I do want to talk about that ice potential, though, down to the south. You can see Greenville down through Fayetteville, some of the points down to the south. They could be dealing with some ice, maybe a little bit of sleet mixing in, but we're not expecting any type of significant coating across Hampton roads. You'll notice a little bit of that moisture coming in down to the south, more snow off to the north and west. As this moisture continues to feed into the area, we're getting some mix, maybe a little bit of sleet right now across central parts of North Carolina. We're still dry in northeast North Carolina. It's been our northern areas that have started reporting those flurries, and we've been seeing some of that again up around Tappahannock. We've seen reports around Richmond and Hanover, areas back over towards the northern neck, a little bit of light snow from time to time. Charlottesville, they've had reports of snow. We've seen it in Louisa as well. We've seen it back towards Blacksburg and Roanoke, some of these areas dealing with the snow as well. But this isn't the area that's really the most concerned with it. The area of greater concern will be northeast North Carolina and into Hampton Roads specifically. And keep in mind, again, the moisture is coming up from the south. We've already got a little bit of mixing showing up around Kinston, south of Greenville over to Belhaven, and we're going to see more of that as the late morning continues and spills into the afternoon. We're going to see the snow filling in. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick up our futurecast, and again, some light flurries off to the north, heavier snow down to the south, and there's that mixing area a little farther south of the Albemarle Sound. That's down around Kill Devil Hills, where temperature's pretty borderline. Again, you see low 30s around Edenton and Elizabeth City. It is a little bit colder aloft, but there might be some mid-levels that get just a little bit of a push of warmer air, and that's why there could be some sleet mixing just a little north of the Albemarle. That's one of the areas we're watching. In general, by late morning and into the afternoon, the heavier snow starts to crank up, and it's going to be with us as we go through the afternoon and especially late afternoon and evening. Tim Pandagis and Evan Stewart are going to be watching this carefully. We've got, I think Taylor's going to be looking at some stuff out there, and we're going to be out in the storm tracking SUV. It's all going to be here to bring you all of the coverage through the afternoon and evening. During the evening, some of that heavier snow will start to push east by late evening, and we may catch a break into the just like, say, past midnight time period, maybe early tomorrow a little bit. Then upper level energy comes through later Thursday, so say mid to late morning and through the early afternoon with a few more snow showers, maybe another inch or so of snow. That is one model, and you can see how the graph really doesn't produce much in terms of accumulation before noon, but as we get into the late afternoon, and then here's 4 o'clock, you'll notice those totals starting to add up down to the south if the graph is correct, and you'll notice into the evening, that's when our numbers really start to pick up across Hampton Roads. Now, the graph model is actually one of the lighter models for specifically Norfolk and areas just off to the north. I've got a couple more models that we will spend some time showing you the progression here. Again, not much with the HRRR. This is another high-resolution rapid refresh model. You see how it really brings in some of the heavier snow later this afternoon and into the evening, and that's when our numbers jump up with the HRRR. The HRRR keeps it going tomorrow morning with that lingering snow near the coast, a break, and then a little additional with the upper-level energy coming in. Now, the HRRR is showing 6 to 9 inches or so across the immediate Hampton Roads area, lesser amounts in North Carolina with a little more mixing. So as you can see, again, looking at the NAM, this is the outlier, little more snow off to the north, and we're going to continue to watch all of these models. You can see there are differences, and this is what I want to talk about, and I want to bring in a very special guest, somebody who I've enjoyed watching since I first started in this career back in 1989. We have Jim Cantore. Jim, I can't believe it's only taken me, 36 years to finally do a broadcast with you, buddy. Welcome to Virginia Beach, and let's first of all talk to you about what you're seeing down there right now. Then I want to get your thoughts on this storm.
Well, first of all, I was back here in 2017 when we had a little bit of snow. I think it was about 5 inches on the ground. But to hear you go over all the different models, dude, I'm just out here geeking with you. All right, I'm here. I'm hearing all what we're going through here. 5 inches, 10 inches. This model's holding it off. That one's holding it on. Yeah, there's always bust potential here, right, on the beach. Do we set up the banding? Do we get into 1 to 2 inches per hour? Those are all the things that we're looking at, certainly as we get into tonight. But here's the deal: you got to be off the roads because these sandy beaches behind me here will be all white by the time we get it tonight. By the way, looking north, you can see how much darker it is up that way, because we got some light snow coming down toward Richmond. So we're still saturating. The air is very, very dry, all right? And so we're going to fight that battle a little bit with, I think, some of the moisture that comes in. And I'll let Craig tell you about that, talking about wet bulbing and things like that. But either way, it's going to get interesting here tonight, right? I mean, we're talking about maybe getting into some banding features, which I think gives us that bonus. How many times, here's a question for you, how many times has Virginia Beach, which is unofficial, gotten into double-digit snow in a single day?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think many.
Very, very rare that we get that, Jim. That's a great point. But I wanted to mention something you touched on, how dry the low levels of the atmosphere was. I was looking at surface obs from up around Richmond, some of the northern areas that you're referring to off there. We were starting to see some snow, even with a pretty healthy dew point separation from the temperature. So, again, it was kind of interesting. I was thinking maybe a few light flurries, but we were getting some reports up there.
That is interesting.
Yeah, certainly as the low levels start to moisten up, once that thing kicks in, it's going to go. Now, I'm interested to get your take, because one of the other things we're really looking at is kind of, that sleet line maybe down around the Albemarle Sound. We have high confidence we're going to get hit with a major event, but can you speak to just how tricky some of these things can be in your experience covering the coast?
Well, I mean, this is why we don't have a lot of double-digit snow totals here, right? Because you get the mixing, you get the changeover to rain with that thing. And somewhere down toward, the northern part of Albemarle Sound and Elizabeth City, we're going to have sleet mixing in. So you could, let's say we're forecasting 5 to 9 for Elizabeth City, but yet all of a sudden we get into a sleet storm there. That 5 to 9 is going to go potentially even below 5, because all of that moisture is going into sleet, which does not, it takes a lot more moisture to produce a sleet pellet than it does a snowflake. But somewhere is the sweet spot, and that may be right here. It may be right back in the Hampton Roads area, where we're talking about getting, a nice 10-to-1 ratio, where we have 10 inches of snow to 1 inch of water. And where that sweet spot's going to be, especially if we set up banding, somebody's going to come out here with double digits.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible, Jim. We had the first snow that we had in over 1,000 days for Norfolk International. The mixing ratio, we had like a 15-to-1. Not the mixing rate, but the snow-rain ratio. So very light, powdery. This is going to have a little more moisture to it, a little bit better packing snow. But, like you said, that area, somebody's going to get the jackpot, and that's what we're really trying to nail down. I'm interested, Jim. Folks have been texting me as soon as they heard you were coming in town. They're like, oh, this is happening. Cantore's in town. You got to get that everywhere you go.
I do. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't work out as great. But, we're only as good as the weather produces for us. But we can just give you our best guess. And Craig, it's certainly better to look at a forecast and say, hey, you know what? Here's the potential. If it under-delivers, great. But if we don't forecast what the potential is, boy, are we in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the thing. That's the thing that scares me the most. In terms of Norfolk, though, I wanted to ask you, when's the last 6-inch snow that we got?
So, honestly,
it's got to be years, brother.
It's been a while. We've had some heavy snows. I was going back to 22, but I'm trying to think all at once. And the other thing is, a lot of times we'll have it for parts of Hampton Roads, but at the airport where we officially keep the records, sometimes it misses there a little bit. So I've got to do a little homework on that specifically. I will date myself just a little bit here. Back in the day with the Weather Channel, you used to do the 5-day, the work week planner. And we used to marvel that the storms would track across the country, and you'd see, snow, snow, snow. Then it would get to the coast, and it looked like somebody took a pizza cutter with all of the, the sounds in the bay and carve it up: sleet, snow, ice, rain. It's crazy here.
Right.
It's just something else.
It is crazy, but it makes it fun. It makes it a challenge still for what we do. And think about this. In 30 years, where we've come with computer models. Holy smoke. The resolution, you were talking about the HER and the resolution on these models is just tremendous. By the way, you don't have to do too much research. I'll do it for you. I think 2010 was the last official Norfolk International 6-inch snowfall.
Yeah, we wound up with over 14 inches of snow between
15 years.
Yeah, that was Christmas into the next day, and I think wound up with a total of 14.2. So incredible amounts. Jim, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Welcome to Virginia Beach. Enjoy some of the seafood down there.
I love it.
All right.
Love geeking.
Thanks so much. That's Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel, obviously a weather legend, and we were delighted to have him. Tegna is partnering with the Weather Channel, and we love it. We love to be able to bring in his expertise. All right, I'm going to share a little bit more with you on some more of the model stuff. Then we're going to hear what Norfolk and the area is doing to prepare for this system as it comes in. Again, the NAM, one of the other models we were talking about, some heavier snow off to the north, and you can see for the Euro, we've got this snow potential, very heavy, although the Euro brings in more down across parts of northeast North Carolina. So this is exactly what Jim and I were talking about. You look at all these different models, bands are going to get set up with heavy areas of snow, and that's going to create a jackpot of snow for some part of the area. Whether it's down here or a little farther north, we're trying to really refine that, and really, a lot of times you just have to see where that stuff sets up, and then you're able to adapt and say, okay, so this is the area, this is a duration, and this is exactly how much snow we're going to get. One more model here, the GFS, and again, you can see the GFS, a little bit more than 10 inches in a few spots projected. The bottom line is everybody is calling for a significant event. All of the models, everything points to it. There might be some sleet mixing in and bringing down the totals a little bit towards the sound. And then off to the north, how far does that deep moisture extend? That'll be a question that we answer later today and tonight. But for now, again, 6 to 10, some locally higher amounts in spots. All right, I know Eugene Daniels standing by right now with some more information on how the city is dealing with this and what we're getting ready to do.
That's right, Craig. And how cool was that to watch? How cool was that to watch Craig and Jim Cantore be able to talk about the things there? I think you can hear me now. There we go. I was just saying how cool that was, Craig, to be able to watch you and Jim talk about the forecast and how we are preparing here to take on some snow here in Hampton Roads. But here's the thing. Virginia and North Carolina are both under states of emergency right now. And Virginia Beach emergency management officials are urging people to stay home if you can. But they're also telling people to stay away from a popular location. Here's Emily Harrison with more on that.
All thrill seekers will be sent away from Mount Trashmore. As Renee McKinnon, the city's deputy coordinator for emergency management, says there is a no sledding ban that is in place. It's been there for decades, and it's there for a good reason.
With nothing to prevent would-be sledders from smacking into a car, emergency management leaders say it's just not safe to sled down Mount Trashmore. It's also the reason why crews will be there to make sure no one tries. There are also concerns about people trying to go ice skating or walking over any frozen ponds. Less than a month ago, Virginia Beach crews pulled the body of a 12-year-old boy, Juan Acevedo, from a frozen pond days after another weather event. The medical examiner's office later determined Juan died from an accidental drowning. Out on the roads, McKinnon says the city is prepared as they can be, as the city has 30 to 35 snowplows available, has requested the state to provide 12 more, and has 3,000 tons of salt at the ready. Priority roads will be kept clear, including those near hospitals, police, and fire stations, but not your private local neighborhood. Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
And although Department of Transportation crews have been working around the clock to prepare roads ahead of the snow, officials continue to urge you to stay home if you can. But if you have to go out in the snow for any reason, you want to make sure that your car is ready. And you don't want to wait until the snow starts until you check out the necessities and make sure you have them in your car. So here are some things you can do now before the snow moves into the area. First of all, check the condition of your tires. That means the tread, holes, if there's any damage. You're going to want to make sure you do that before you get out there in the snow if you have to go out. Also, keep an eye on your coolant and your battery under your hood. Don't try to touch or work on anything under the hood while the engine is hot. And while checking out the outside of your car is very important, it is, make sure you have the necessary supplies inside your car. So we're talking about a battery charger, emergency kit, and a windshield wiper and scraper. So while you're on the road, if you have to head out, keep your headlights to a low beam, use fog lights, and remember, do not use your high beams. And speaking of the roads, let's take a look at traffic here at 9:24. It was a very busy morning, some major incidents earlier, so let's go over what you need to know now. Traffic is still alternating at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. We had an earlier tractor-trailer fire at the tunnel, shut down the CBBT for several hours. At this point, alternating lane closures, so expect some delays in that area. Things have thinned out at the Monitor Merrimack on 664. Earlier, multi-vehicle crash with injuries. We don't have to worry about that now. We are looking pretty good. There is a breakdown in Chesapeake on 64 near Greenbrier Parkway. As you can see, it's off to the shoulder, not causing any major delays. And right now, the roads still look pretty good. Of course, that could change a little bit later. Marta is going to be checking traffic starting at noon, especially as the snow really starts to pick up in the area. Don't forget the Berkeley Bridge opens at 11 o'clock this morning. But again, that's going to be right kind of in the thick of this snow as things are kind of happening. So we'll continue to watch the roads for you throughout the day. But again, if you do not have to head out, please stay home. Eugene.
All right, I'll pick it up here, Ashley. I just wanted to mention very quickly, and we will hear from Eugene in just a moment. These are the impacts, again, heavy snow and messy roads, as Ashley was mentioning. We're talking with 6 to 10 inches of snow potentially. Many roads will remain covered. Obviously, VDOT and NCDOT are going to work hard to clear the primary roads as best they can. But if we get the heavy amounts of snow that everything is suggesting we will receive, and again, confidence is high, we're looking at messy roads, and they will likely remain messy for a few days. Now, ice is possible in North Carolina. I showed that outlook for some sleet or heavier amounts of sleet and maybe even some freezing rain well to our south. But there could be some sleet mixing in across parts of North Carolina. You always worry about potential power issues with the heavier snows and any type of sleet or ice mixing in as well. Eugene, I know we've been looking at how crews are getting ready.
Yeah, we have been. Dominion Energy has been working to minimize possible power outages because of this storm. They were out for hours yesterday trimming tree limbs away from power lines across the area. And they say if you see a downed power line during the storm, stay away from it. Call Dominion Energy and let them know right away. And, you know, we're talking about the significant snowfall that's coming into our area very soon here. We got schools and businesses that have been listening. They're already planning ahead. City offices, courts, and schools across the Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina are closed for today. Some divisions are even switching to remote learning. We do have a full list on our website, 13newsnow.com. If you want to check to see if you were impacted, that is on our website, and you can see it there. Craig, what's the latest?
All right, so I just wanted to bring you back to the radar as we wind up this edition of the Weather Desk. The snow is still off to the north. We are going to see the snow filling in as we go later this afternoon, especially the afternoon and into the evening. Again, we could see some light snow developing maybe a little later this morning, but the heavier stuff that's really going to set up is coming a bit later on. As we take a look here, highs stay at or below freezing across the south side. What falls as snow will stick and pile up. And again, it's going to remain below freezing to the north as well. We've already seen some light snow showers up that way. More is going to spread in from the south, maybe a little mixing at the Outer Banks, and then snow north of the Sound with some potential for a little bit of sleet mixing in as well, very close to the Albemarle. Overnight tonight, 27 the low. The snow will continue for a while, certainly through the evening. And then as we go late through the overnight, it may taper off. A little bit of a break early, but guess what? Some upper level energy will produce some more snow showers tomorrow. That's why our weather impact alert continues at that point. Breezy and cold. The temperature's around 31. Now, there is a warm up in sight, but it's not coming anytime soon. With the heavy snow falling, roads will be impacted Friday and Saturday as well. I think by Saturday into Sunday, that's when we'll really get some more significant melting once we get temperatures a little bit warmer up into the 40s. Beyond that, temperatures will get up into the 50s Monday, Tuesday, and most of next week. So things will be warming up. I want to remind everybody you can find me on social media, Facebook, search Craig Moeller, Instagram, Craig Moeller TV, and on X, formerly Twitter, at 13 Craig Moeller. We've got a lot more coverage for you right here on the 13 News Now Plus app on YouTube. We are posting all these videos out there on YouTube as well. So a lot of different ways to connect with us. The best way to stay in touch with our radar and all of our news coverage is with the 13 News Now mobile app. So again, just scan that QR code, download the 13 News Now app. It is absolutely free. Not only will you have access to our forecast updates and the radar, but you'll also get special live coverage when we go live, and imagine be doing a lot of that over the next couple of days. Here's a look at our special coverage here coming up through the day. Again, you just caught the weather desk from 9 to 9:30 as we're wrapping things up. 10:30 to 11:30, we've got a special that we're going to do, another live stream weather impact alert live. And then as we look ahead to the noon, of course, we'll have our noon show and more live weather coverage for our weather impact alert live special. We'll do another one from 3 to 6:30 with our news coverage, and then another at 8 to 9. So we've got this extended coverage planned on our Plus app. We've got a lot of reporters in place all across the area set to bring you coverage as the snow comes in. Guys, this is potentially a very big event.
Right.
Again, Cantore had pulled out the mask saying, well, it was 2010 since the last time we had double-digit snow in Norfolk. And I was sitting there thinking, yeah, I remember it was Christmas Day. It came in late, and then it continued into the 26th. So doesn't happen often, but potentially a significant amount of snow across Hampton roads. You guys ready for it?
Yeah.
It's already been a long day.
She said there with apprehension, but yes, we are.
And I will tell you, with our weather team, we'll have multiple meteorologists round the clock to cover this. I'll be back in tomorrow morning at 1 o'clock. Again, I'll be live streaming from 10:30 to 11:30. I know you guys will be back.
Yeah.
A lot to cover. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of the Weather Desk. Remember, you can find us here every weekday morning at 9 a.m.